So welcome. We are finally able to get back outside. I painted these signs on Saturday. It is now Thursday, and the black oil-based paint that is around the trim and in all the letters is finally dry enough so that I can sand away the excess. Now on the original sign, I really didn't want to do much sanding, so I tried to take a great deal more care about the edges. There needs a little bit of touch-up in a few places. But on the new sign, this thing, I'm just going to buzz this across the whole surface and clean that right up. I have my palm sander, and I have a piece of 50 grit, 80 grit, and 120 grit paper, which should take me through all the steps that I need to follow. The original sign doesn't need any of the heavy grade papers. I can just use the smoother one on there and get rid of those tiny little bits of extra paint. So I'm going to set this aside for the moment, and I'm going to put the 50 grit paper on the sander, and we're going to clean that extra paint off of the sign in all the places where it got up on top of that flat surface. So take a look at that. That was less than a minute, and it is completely clean. Not a bit of paint remains on that surface. I'll have to dust this off a little bit to make that look jet black again, but that is ready for a coat of finish. We'll hit the other side. Okay, so even where there was a lot of paint down around that end, it looks perfectly clean, and it is ready for finish. So I just thought I would turn that camera around for you so you can actually read things. The vacancy sign, the no vacancy sign, no paint, no boo-boos, no runs, no drips, no errors. Now it's ready for a coat of finish. Once I get it dusted off, I'm going to touch up that other sign a little bit, and then we'll apply some outdoor waterproof UV resistant finish. Okay, here we are back on the potting bench. The signs have been sanded. You can see there's little traces of sawdust left in the letters. I wiped down the outside pretty well, so that looks clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a totally dry paintbrush. This is clean, and I'm going to dust out these letters and all the little tracks so there's no sawdust left in the lettering, and it looks jet black and very clean. Do that with the little heart details, the number, just all of the text. So everything looks really clean. Make sure all of this totally dust free. It's nice when you're in the shop because you have the dusting gun with the air hose from the compressor, but here I just have to kind of huff and puff and blow your house down. All right, I have a couple of sticks from the bucket of kindling by the fireplace, and I went digging in the barn and found this Helmsman clear semi-gloss spar urethane. When you're using something outside, it's important that you use a spar urethane or a spar varnish, because that is a polyurethane that includes an ultraviolet resistant chemical. It's not the wind and the rain that beat up wood when it's outside. It is the ultraviolet. It's the sunlight that's very hard on it. But when I opened this can of finish, I found that the material had gotten kind of dark and amber, and it does have an amber color even brand new, but as it gets a little older, this had a skin over the top of it. I had to crack that skin off with a screwdriver and throw it away. And I'm going to thin this down a little bit with some paint thinner. Okay? Paint thinner is the appropriate solvent for polyurethane and for spar urethane, and I'm cutting this with about, maybe 25% of the paint thinner. And when I have mixed that really well, I'll be able to brush that on, and it will work very nicely. One of the nice things about the tendency of polyurethane to skin over inside the can is that that kind of seals it really, really well. So if you can crack that skin off without getting a bunch of the solids into your mix, you can just go ahead and use it. Thin that down just a little bit more. I'm going to make sure this is thoroughly mixed. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a coat of finish on the sign. All right, that should do it. I'll just let that rest on the cap. Now I have another Worcester brush here. I really like the Worcester paint brushes. This one is not brand new, but it's pretty close to being new. And it fits in this old vegetable can right here. So we're going to put a coat of finish on this. And you can see it has a slightly amber color. You're going to get a lot of finish down in the grooves. So we'll let that sit and dry, and we'll get back to the other side as soon as that's done. The other sign is sitting up there drying right now, and we'll get back to it when we can. So welcome back. I'm hoping that this is the last piece of this this whole piece-by-piece video set of the B&B sign. I have here on the table everything that I need. The signs have 3 coats of finish on them. I have my tape measure. I have the hardware to hook these together. I have my drill index. I have a small cordless drill here, and I have chosen a drill bit that is approximately half the size of the screw on this hook, or half the diameter I should say, so that when I fasten these in here, there'll be a place for it to go, but the hole will not be so big that this is loose. The threads will still bite into the material. So in order to get these to line up, I am going to measure from the center point 6 inches out to either side, and I'm going to mark both the sign, the B&B sign, and I'm going to mark, I've already marked the center of this, so I'm going to measure out 6 inches to one side, and they're going to measure out 6 inches to the other side, and place my marks. Now I'll put the drill bit into the cordless drill. I'm going to drill these pilot holes at the place where I mark, but right in the center of the thickness of this material. The screw portion of this cup hook is about 3/4 of an inch long, so I'm going to drill in here just slightly less than that. And I'm going to do the same thing on this sign. There's my mark. I don't want to drill straight in this way. I want to drill straight up and down the way the sign is going to hang. So I'll get started, but then I will turn the drill so the cup hook is going to hang straight up and down. Same thing here. Start going straight in, but then turn this and drill straight up and down. Now we can just take these guys and screw them in here. Doesn't take much to crank them down in till that little flange touches down. If it were too hard, like this one, that's a little tough, I'm going to take the Leatherman and turn this okay. Now the sign, these are going to screw down in here. That flange is a little bit loose, so it is going to turn and lay nicely against the side of the sign as we screw that down. So now I've turned both of those so they are facing forward on the sign. And I'm going to turn these an additional 1/2 of a turn. So now, when this is hanging on the wall of the house, this can hang on it either that way or that way. So that almost finishes that job. One more thing I have to do is to refasten this hanging hardware that I took off the back of the sign when I refinished it. So let's swap out that bit, put the driver tip on here, and now we can take the screws that I took off of the sign when I first got it, and we can put those back in. Now with those on the back, and this ready to hang on the front, that is a project finished, and I can call that person and tell them to come and pick up their sign. Enjoy your day. Thanks for being with me.